WAVE-3 News Nightcast, tonight at 11 o'clock.
We now join SEC basketball, already in progress.
His outside shot won't go. Poole off the offensive board scores. Pretty work by Stacy Poole.
Oh, big rebound in traffic. I mean, you're talking about a guy that went up and came down in traffic and took it back up.
Poole is Florida's leading scorer with 6. 8 minutes left in the half. Greg Bell off the glass. He got it through.
Good move. Very good move.
Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville. Tom Hammond and Bob Welnick, the Tennessee Volunteers, leading Florida 21-14. 7:40 left in the first half. Florida has controlled the pace of this first half of play thus far. That slow-down game. At one point, Florida had a 2-point lead, but it's been mostly Tennessee, and the Volunteers enjoying their biggest lead of the first half at 21-14. Well-balanced scoring for the Vols, with Ronnie Reese leading the way with 6. There's a Tennessee steal. Bell behind the back, still on the dribble, lays it up and in, and a foul.
Good move by Bell. Takes the ball the length of the floor and takes it to the defense. Nobody really stops him. Where's the problem you have in a play like this, although they call it a charge, is that nobody really comes up and challenges him. You've got to get this ball stopped at the free throw line. He gets in too deep. Now, he does take the ball to the basket. That is a good call inside, but somebody has got to get him stopped quicker.
Bell will get credit for the basket. That's his 6th point of the game. Also his first personal foul. And we'll be back to Knoxville in a moment.
If you can imagine a vehicle that looks like this, can handle like this, and provide room like this, you either have an excellent imagination, or you have a Ford Taurus Wagon.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
Gillette announces a razor that can sense the individual needs of your face. Introducing the extraordinary Gillette Sensor shaving system. Sensor blades are mounted on responsive springs to continuously sense and adjust to your face for the best shave a man can get. Closer, smoother, safer. New Gillette Sensor.
We're Preston Highway Chrysler Plymouth, and we're having the truckload sale of the year with acres of premium used vehicles priced to sell. Like this 85 Crown Victoria, $49 down and $139 a month. Or this floated 86 Dodge Aries, $49 down and $119 a month. All the prices are posted during the huge truckload sale at Preston Highway Chrysler Plymouth, 2 blocks south of Fern Valley. How do they sell them so cheap?
Tennessee Vols enjoying their biggest lead of the game with 7:15 left in the opening half. Here's some other scores in college basketball this afternoon. Final from the ACC. Maryland whips North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Another final. Louisville stepping out of the conference to beat Virginia. That's in Charlottesville. In the Southwest Conference, Arkansas bounces back from a couple of defeats. In the Big East, Georgetown a winner by 8 on the road at Seton Hall. And in the Big Ten, Michigan State beating Illinois 70-63 in East Lansing. Of course, at halftime, we'll have all the scores for you on our Budweiser scoreboard. The announcers for this game, excuse me, Bob, I've got to get this disclaimer in. We should have plenty of time on this possession for the Gators. The announcers for this game selected and compensated by Jefferson Pilot Seller Productions. This broadcast a copyright presentation. Tennessee with a steal. Greg Bell comes the other way. Any use of the broadcast without the express permission of the Southeastern Conference and Jefferson Pilot is prohibited. Well, Ronnie Reese has had the hot hand, Bob. He only averages 9 a game, and he already has 8 here in the first part of the first half.
This is a good game for him because what ends up happening is you get Lockhart with the matchup with Davis, which means Reese then becomes a very dominant player in relation to who's playing against him. So he's going to be able to pick up a lot of stuff on the backside board.
Tennessee with 5 steals. That's a large number against this Florida team that can't afford to lose any possession.
Well, both teams have had problems taking care of the basketball. Both of them are averaging around 17 turnovers a game and a little bit higher in their last couple of games. And Florida cannot afford to do that because they can't make the points up the way they play.
So Don DeVoe returning to Knoxville for the first time, trying to rally his team from an 11-point deficit back after a word from Pepsi.
Rock and roll is okay, but I prefer rap.
Awesome. Wait a second. Shady Acres was supposed to get the Coke, and the frat house was supposed to get the Pepsi.
Coke, Pepsi, what's the difference?
I-24.
This is radical.
For your farm, your family, your piece of America. Agricenter means more.
Today's game is brought to you in part by your local Cyanamid Agricenter dealer, representing America's best agricultural suppliers and committed to helping farmers care for the land.
Agricenter means more.
We hope all of you enjoy today's game.
If you need to bracket a shelf, tighten a bolt, deadbolt your door, then it's time for a quick trip to Lowe's, because Lowe's has everything you need to fix anything you have that has anything to do with your home, period. So why don't you fix it?
For whatever you need to maintain your home. We have it all at Lowe's.
Just fix it.
Florida scored only 4 points in the last 8 minutes. During that time, Tennessee has outscored the Gators 17-4, and it's an 11-point Tennessee lead. Allen Houston can't handle the pass from Bell. There's a ball turnover. And the turnover's now 7 against the Gators. That was the second committed by Tennessee. And the points off turnovers heavily in favor of the Volunteers. Into the game for the Gators is Travis Shinsis, the 6'8 freshman from Brandon, the younger brother of Dwayne Shinsis, who bailed out on this Florida team and has left them in dire straits. He and Chapman gave up on their teammates, packed it in, and it's been downhill ever since for the Gators, who come in with a 10-game losing streak.
At this point in the season, I think their quitting is probably the least newsworthy story that I know of. And I'm really happy that we can concentrate on the guys that stayed with it, because the Garcias and the Dwayne Davises are the guys we need to be talking about.
Tennessee had the numbers, but it takes a tap-in by Wiseman to convert the fast break.
Well, they just, they're struggling now. And as we said earlier, the one problem they're going to run into is that as they fall further behind, they really don't have that gear they can kick it into to all of a sudden make up a lot of points. So they have to be particularly careful that they're not out of this at half if they want to make a game of it.
Willie Jackson is in the game also for the Gators.
Well, I'm impressed with Tennessee. I think Wade Houston has done a great job of getting his youngsters to understand how they have to play against this kind of a team.
Stacy Poole off the glass for his 8th point. He leads the Gators, and it's 27-16. Three-pointer Wiseman, air ball. And Garcia has it for Florida. Ronaldo Garcia came over before the teams come out to warm up today and said it's pretty tough to hang in there when things are going against you, as they have for the Gators. But he said he was going to hang in there and fight it out.
It's like anything. Everybody talks about how much fun it is. It's fun when you win, and it's fun when you prepare well. Nobody likes losing, but, you have to give these guys a lot of credit. Watching them shoot around this morning, I was particularly impressed by their attitude. I thought that they seemed to be over the hump. It just seems like everybody's kind of on the same page.
Shinsis lost it and then commits the foul.
Well, that's an aggressive foul. You can't help but to like that effort. You know, you don't want a foul like that to take place, but doggone it, he's going after the ball, and you really like the way he's, hustling out there.
Bob, what's going on in college basketball as Davis comes back? You had Shinsis and Chapman quitting the Florida team, the Drake players in a revolt, Arkansas State, they were going to force a change in coaches. What's going on?
Well, I'm not really sure. I think what has to go on is simply this. We have to understand that basketball it's not a right. It's really a privilege. You're getting a scholarship. If you want to go out and have fun and just do what you want to do, then I think that makes for a good City League basketball team. But somewhere in here, the players have to be accountable, and there's no question but that when they have gripes, those have to be evaluated. But walking out and not playing is not the answer. And I hope we're going to see more of what happened at Arkansas State in terms of an athletic director taking a stand.
That was Charlie Thornton who told the Arkansas State players, come back at the next practice or you're out of here.
Well, and not only that, but he also assured them that at the end of the year, which is the appropriate time, we'll evaluate. You're not talking about a changed coach. You've got a coach that's been there. He recruited all those players. They've played for him. And so there are no real surprises all of a sudden. We don't have a new guy that's doing something completely different. I give Charlie a lot of credit. I think that, that's the end result in all of this.
Charlie Thornton, who formerly was an assistant athletic director at the University of Alabama. Garcia's first point of the game on that free throw. Garcia, the young man that came on to start the last 15 games of Florida's championship season a year ago and has been in double figures for the Gators 16 games this season. He and Davis lead Florida in that department.
The real life story of anything is simply there are going to be a lot of things that you don't particularly like. There's going to be a lot of things you're going to do in your lifetime that you wish you had done better or different. But hey, that's part of life, and you've got to learn that when you're in college, because if you don't, it's going to be too late.
Lang Wiseman, the freshman out of Arlington, Tennessee, has come off the Tennessee bench to score 5 points. And the Volunteers are up 30-18. Wiseman with that three-point shot, reminiscent of his cousin, Mark Griffin, who shot a lot of threes for this Tennessee squad. And Wiseman out on the break. Missed the layup, put up and in on the follow by Groves, I think. It is Carlos Groves.
Yeah, Tennessee is really getting the thing out now. They really are doing a good job of following up on everything, and Florida's a little bit hesitant or slow in getting back.
Poole got away, fed it nicely inside to Davis for the slam. Good assist, good look by Stacey Poole.
That's one of the few times that Tennessee has gambled, and the 2 times they have, it's cost them. That's a good teaching tool right there for Wade Houston at halftime. Stay solid.
Allen Houston with a 15-foot floater, and Allen has scored 7 in the first half.
I think it's really scary when you look at this league to see the number of great young players that are in the league. This is going to be a league with new coaches and young players that is going to explode. Not that it's already hasn't, but, it is going to, in the next 3 to 5 years, probably just explode off the map.
Allen Houston was just tremendous, 43 points, 11 assists against LSU. You saw the game. There had to be a shootout between Chris Jackson and Allen Houston.
Oh, it's what big-time basketball is all about. Not only were, they up and down the floor, but you had 2 superstars, or at least those superstars to be performing, at top performance level.
Willie Jackson misses the shot. Tennessee with the rebound, down to 35 seconds in the half, and now Florida, after the loose ball picked up by Garcia, will hold it for the final shot.
Well, one of the problems Florida's had, and we haven't identified it, or I haven't identified it, is that they've been in a zone, and it's been a very, very passive zone, which has allowed Tennessee to penetrate, and that's been the real problem.
You see the game clock counting away the seconds for the first half.
I think we're going to see Poole go one-on-one and look to dish it off.
Spins, dishes, Jackson for 3. Knocked down. That'll be a 3 free throw opportunity with 5 seconds left. Is Allen Houston committed a foul there that had to make his dad wince.
Let me tell you something on that one. It ain't going to matter whether Allen Houston is his son or not. He's going to catch it on that one. That's one where you are a player. You are no longer my son, and you do not do that to end the half.
How do you feel about coaches coaching their own sons in college basketball?
I think there's a lot of pressure, but, the nice thing about this is you're talking about a guy that is so good, there cannot be any question as to why he's playing. I think where it becomes hard is when you have that marginal player that, everybody kind of looks at and should he or shouldn't he be playing. But Allen Houston is a future superstar. There's no question as to whether he should be in the lineup, and he's a neat kid.
Third and final free throw coming up for Willie Jackson, the walk-on redshirt football player. His dad, Willie Sr., played football at Florida. And Davis rebounds the miss and puts it through. A 4-point Florida trip just before halftime. And almost that one from the length of the court went in, bounced off.
We may have had more excitement in the last 30 seconds than we had in the first 19 minutes. Here we see it, the follow-up to the last free throw, and Davis just goes in. Groves does not get a good check out, and he goes up and explodes. And by the time they take it out, of course, they're not able to get a really good shot at the basket, although this hits the front of the rim.
Well, Bell's shot just bounces off the rim. That was almost one of those highlight shots as he let it fly from deep in the backcourt. Well, a flurry by Florida just before halftime makes it a 10-point game. Tennessee leading 34-24 as we go to halftime. Stay with us now at intermission as we recognize our SEC Player of the Week. Take a look at our Pepsi SEC trivia question. We'll have college basketball scores for you and all the stats and highlights from the first half here in Knoxville. Tennessee leading it by 10. We'll be back to the Thompson Bowling Arena for halftime in just a moment.
Ahead of time.
You know the difference between the AC Delco parts that go into race cars and the ones that go into your car? There isn't any. If you want to win, run with a winner.
Did you know not all business calls from banks in Boston to San Francisco at 2 p.m. cost the same?
Nobody beats our interest rate.
One long-distance company would like you to believe they always save you lots of money. But if you compare their business plan to AT&T Pro Once, you'd see for this 3.5-minute call, AT&T prices are extremely competitive.
Where's my big savings? Don't ask me.
Value. Another AT&T advantage.
I just did something incredible. 5 minutes ago, I had gray hair, but now I don't. And this is what did it. New Option Instant from Clairol. The advanced way to get rid of the gray. Option Instant for men is different. With theirs, you have to pour and mix ingredients, but Option's the advanced way. All you need is this. It's so easy. And only 5 minutes later, your natural-looking color's back.
Hair feels thicker, too.
New Option Instant from Clairol. The advanced way to get rid of the gray.
How does a Ford Escort buyer differ from an import buyer? An Escort buyer gets more features for less money than Civic or Corolla buyers. Features like a bigger engine, remote power mirrors, speed control, tilt steering, and air conditioning, making an Escort buyer much cooler than an import buyer. No wonder Escort is the world's best-selling car.
Now get 4.8 financing for up to 48 months or a $1,000 cash bonus on Ford Escort.
We're at halftime, the Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville, Tennessee, leading by as many as 14 during the first half, with a flurry by the Gators just before halftime, reducing it to a 10-point game, 34-24 Tennessee. Florida has done one thing for sure. They have controlled the tempo of the game.
Controlled the tempo, and they've actually got some pretty good shots, and they've also got some offensive rebounds, but they have not shot the ball well. And whenever you don't shoot the ball well, it doesn't matter what style of basketball you're playing, you don't look like you're playing well. On the defensive end, they really have broken down, particularly when they went to the zone late. They allowed too much penetration, and they have got to get back on defense in transition. Florida, the way they play, cannot give up any easy baskets because it's too hard for them to get baskets at their end.
One bright spot for the Gators in the first half, the play of Stacy Poole, who leads the Gators scoring parade with 8 points and had a couple of nice passes as well.
Well, here we see him handling the ball in traffic, and he really has become a very, very important figure in what they're trying to do because he's got the total package. He can shoot it outside. He's big and strong enough to play inside. He can penetrate with the ball. He's the key to what makes this thing go. When he and Davis play well, then they can be a very difficult team to play against.
And Allen Houston with 7 points. We expected that in the first half, but a bit of a surprise for Tennessee. Ronnie Reese pitched in 8 points to lead the Vols.
Well, Florida just runs out of people inside, and what ends up happening is they've got to concentrate so much on Lockhart inside that Reese frees up, comes in on some weak side rebounds. He runs the floor extremely well. That's one of his strengths. He's not a power player. This is a good game for him and a chance for him to have a big scoring game.
All right, Tennessee leading Florida by 10 points at halftime. Let's pause now to take a look at the two schools competing in today's game. Let's look at the University of Florida and the University of Tennessee.
What we are describing in the laboratory are fundamental biological processes that can be used for the production of foodstuffs or altering the quality of our food, for example.
Dr. Rob Pearl, a molecular biologist in the biotechnology program at the University of Florida.
They have students come up to you and say, hey, I had your course in 1982 and I really enjoyed it. It gives you a nice feeling inside.
The promise of research is being realized at the University of Florida.
The best thing at UT? Yeah. Well, that's a tough question.
Best thing about UT, the atmosphere.
I love the teachers.
Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson, right.
It is, in a sense, a performance. It is also a kind of intimate sharing of information that can happen in a classroom in a way that doesn't much happen anywhere else.
And I love him. I love him. I can't wait to take more classes from him.
You could win a trip for two to the 1990 SEC basketball tournament in Orlando, March 8th through the 11th. Answer today's Pepsi SEC Tournament Trivia Challenge question. Who was the last SEC player to finish the season atop a national statistical category? Pete Maravich of LSU, Bailey Howell of Mississippi State, Dwayne Davis of Florida, or Bernard King of Tennessee. Call 1-900-226-PEPSI 24 hours a day and answer the trivia question correctly to enter the sweepstakes. Each call costs 85 cents a minute, and a portion of the proceeds go to an SEC scholarship fund. We'll have the answer later on in today's game. Airfare to the tournament provided by Delta Airlines. We love to fly, and it shows. We're at halftime. Knoxville, Tennessee, the home team on top by 10. It's Tennessee 34, Florida 24. More halftime in a moment.
She's all ours.
Custom Auto Show, featuring the world's most incredible automotive creation, the all-new Batmobile, plus the 60s TV Batmobile. Meet in person Super Hunk Paul Williams and Emilio from Days of Our Lives. See the Calendar Girls and Pageant. Then go cheerleaders. A kids' cartoon carnival of stars featuring Garfield, RoboCop, Jetsons, Yogi Bear, and Dino. See Miss USA and a Ford's Bodybuilding Expo, plus all of the nation's top cars in the greatest custom auto show ever. Next weekend at the Fairgrounds.
Tom Hammond and Bob Weltlich from Knoxville, where the Volunteers lead the Gators 34-24. I understand there's no excuse for you missing the SEC Pepsi Trivia Challenge this week. We've already seen a preview of the answer.
They're going to charge you double if you miss it this week.
Well, the object is to answer the question correctly and get in the sweepstakes for the trip to the tournament. It's time to recognize our Delta Airlines Southeastern Conference Player of the Week now, and as you have noted throughout the first half, it's a player that we'll be hearing great things from in the future.
Well, Allen Houston, not only did he average 34 points and 6 assists over in two games against Mississippi State and LSU, but he set the UT freshman scoring record with 43 against LSU. You know, the guy is really phenomenal. He follows that up this past Wednesday with 37 points against Ole Miss. And not only is he playing well and scoring well, but he's doing it with good percentages, and you have to be very impressed with how he's played.
So Allen Houston, the freshman phenom from the University of Tennessee, whose dad is the new UT coach, is our Delta Airlines SEC Player of the Week. He's helped the Volunteers to a 10-point halftime lead, and we'll be back with a look at college basketball scores right after these words.
Gillette announces a razor that can sense the individual needs of your face. Introducing the extraordinary Gillette Sensor shaving system. Sensor blades are mounted on responsive springs to continuously sense and adjust to your face for the best shave a man can get. Closer, smoother, safer. New Gillette Sensor.
That's my son. You know, he could grow up to be one of the world's great doctors. Yeah, maybe a brain surgeon. Of course, that'd be years of medical school, big bucks. Maybe he'll just be a famous lawyer. And then there's law school, more big bucks. Actually, I think he'll make a great politician. He already knows how to get everything he wants.
Jefferson Pilot, Insurance and Financial Services.
Would you ever think of doing this to your wall? Or this? Or even this? You probably wouldn't, but if you have kids, you know they might. That's why you need one and only interior paint from Lowe's. With one and only, stains like these wash clean away. Time after time after time.
Lowe's one and only interior paint. The one and only paint you'll ever need.
Inside this freeze chamber, it's so cold humans can only work for 5 minutes at a time. So we've sent in experts used to working in frigid conditions to see if Gulf Super with Ice Guard can stop fuel line freeze. Okay, guys, start her up. Well, there it is. Gulf Super with Ice Guard stops fuel line freeze, and it's guaranteed. You go or Gulf pays the tow. No dry gas can make that claim. Uh-oh. Security, Burgess is driving again.
Now it's time for the Budweiser scoreboard, brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. From the Atlantic Coast Conference, Maryland upsets North Carolina in Chapel Hill by 4. Halftime score from the ACC, North Carolina State ahead of Georgia Tech. Final, Louisville, ranked 18th in the nation, beating Virginia in Charlottesville. Kansas, defeated by Missouri at home, knocking the Jayhawks out of first place, no doubt trying to bounce back with a 1-point first-half lead against Nebraska. Arkansas had 2 defeats, but they have an easy victory today over SMU. The Georgetown Hoyas, playing in the Big East, on the road, win by 8. Notre Dame has struggled throughout the season, but they're only trailing Syracuse by 1 at the Carrier Dome at half. Final score, Michigan State whipping Illinois in the Big Ten, 70-63. Well, Coach, this past Thursday in Lexington, Kentucky squared off against LSU before a record crowd in Rupp Arena. I guess I've been to 1,000 basketball games, and I thought the atmosphere was one of the best I have ever seen. It was just a tremendous setting for college basketball. It wasn't the most well-played game I've ever seen, but one of the most exciting contests I've ever witnessed, Kentucky and LSU.
We've talked about this all year long as we've watched what Rick Pitino has done at Kentucky. You've got to be impressed with the job that he's doing, but I sense also that they are playing a style of basketball that the people, for the first time since Adolph Rupp, can really get their teeth into. Joe Hall did a great job, but this style of basketball seems to be the style for the 90s. And the more they're up and down and the more things, and Rick has done a masterful job of playing the crowd and doing all those kinds of things you have to do at the college game. They're a very, very good basketball team, and we talked at the very beginning of the year. One thing to keep in mind, and Richard Williams of Mississippi State said this, Kentucky's off year is a year that a lot of other teams in the league would like to have those players.
Here's some scenes from that game. Kentucky led by as many as 23 points before LSU came back. Rick Pitino had a record crowd. They honored Coach Joe B. Hall and the former coach college basketball's winningest, 8 off Rupp by retiring jerseys in their honor and placing them in Rupp Arena. John Pelfrey with a blindside pass to Darren Feldhaus, who let it in as Kentucky built the lead. Chris Jackson had 41 points. The Tigers got within 2 before Kentucky's Richie Farmer hit 6 straight free throws down the stretch to preserve the win for Kentucky. Rick Pitino and Dale Brown exchanging handshakes this time. No attempted punches, and Kentucky 13-10 when a lot of people said they would be lucky to win 10 games on the season. Look at this. They're in the middle of the SEC race, even though they can't go to postseason play.
They're sitting there with a very big game today, and depending upon what happens in the league today, they're right in it. You know, it's really unfortunate that they cannot be recognized as a champion or play the tournament, but they are a real factor in this league.
And LSU and Georgia now tied for the lead after that Tiger loss to Spite, a great comeback. Right here, it's Tennessee by 10. Second half in a moment.
No matter where you're farming, no matter what you grow, all across America, we're the people you need to know.
Cyanamid Agricenter dealers come in all shapes and sizes. They're your local agricultural retailers, a committed group of independent companies and co-ops. But now they have even more to offer. Because now they're also Cyanamid Agricenter dealers.
Sometimes you can tell by the way it looks. Sometimes you can tell by the way it feels. Sometimes it comes to you in broad daylight. Sometimes you find it in the middle of the night. But you know when you got the right one. This is the right one. You know when you got the right one.
Some people think only foreign companies build quality cars. Now, according to an independent survey, an American car company offers you a choice of some of the most trouble-free cars you can own. That American car company is Buick. And the 1990 versions of those American cars are Buick LeSabre, Buick Riviera, and Buick Electra Park Avenue. We believe there's a new symbol for quality on the great American road.
The love seat goes here, and the new entertainment center goes over there. As soon as I get my income tax refund.
Why wait for your money? Get it fast with H&R Block's Rapid Refund. We file your federal return electronically so you get a loan against your anticipated refund in a matter of days. And the fees can be withheld too. Available whether Block prepares your return or not. Unless, of course, you like waiting. Rapid Refund from H&R Block to get your money fast.
JP Sports' exclusive coverage of the Pepsi SEC Game of the Week is brought to you by Pepsi-Cola and your local Pepsi bottler. By the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company. For insurance and financial services, better call JP. By Buick and your Buick dealer. The great American road belongs to Buick. By Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. By Delta, the airline of SEC country. We love to fly, and it shows. By Infinity, who invites you to test drive the Q45 sedan or M30 Sports Coupe. By Lowe's, America's #1 lumber and building materials store. And by Gulf and BP, makers of high-octane, high-performance gasoline.
With Tennessee up 10 on Florida, let's take a look at our Lowe's halftime stats.
Well, as we talked, you know, the difference is just simply field goal percentage shooting. The shots have been pretty much the same. Free throws are very close. The turnovers, of course, have really hurt Florida. But Florida just has not shot the ball, and Tennessee has a lot to do with that, and that's the difference in the game. 5 less field goals, we've got a spread of 10 points. I need to correct myself, too, in that as we look at the individual stats, Poole and Davis, no surprise, them being the 2 leading scorers for Florida. And on the other side, Ronnie Reese, who may be a little bit of a surprise, but Houston surely is not. One thing I need to correct, and that is that Kentucky can, in fact, be, I believe, the conference champ during the regular season. They're just ineligible for postseason tournament play and also for the tournament, the SEC tournament. With as many mistakes as I make, I need to correct the ones I'm aware of.
LSU, by the way, now in a tie with Georgia atop the SEC, has a date at Vanderbilt tomorrow as the Tigers continue on the road. Dwayne Davis kicks it back outside, and the shot by Garcia won't go. And a foul on the rebound. That'll be the first foul of the second half. I think it's Ian Lockhart of Tennessee for number 2.
Well, once again, they come back out. Tennessee takes a man-to-man approach to things. What Florida has obviously elected to do is isolate Davis in the post, get it in, feed it back out, and shoot three-pointers or let Davis go one-on-one.
Florida has, there's Poole laying it in. Poole, Jackson, Davis, Grimsley, and Garcia. So Jackson starts in place of Stewart in the second half. Florida counting that flurry before halftime, now on a 6-0 roll.
Well, we see a 1-3-1 here. They're going to go back to the zone and see if they can contain it.
There's a steal by Florida. Jackson knocked it away. Grimsley leads the break, throws it back, and the shot no good as the Gators, with a rare fast break opportunity, can't convert. Rivers pulls up. His shot no good. Lockhart lost it, and Grimsley has it for Florida.
I really think Florida needs to take a look when they rebound the ball of coming out of there and see if there is an opportunity available. Then, if it's not available, slowing it down. But they're really content to back it off in the backcourt, and there's some opportunities I think they're missing.
Tennessee has its original starting 5 on the floor: Rivers, Reese, Lockhart, Bell, and Houston.
You can always push the ball to the free throw line and then back it out.
Dwayne Davis under pressure, too hard off the glass, knocked out of bounds. It'll go back to Florida. Last touch by Tennessee. Well, that was an absolute. That's a wonder that shot didn't shatter the backboard as Wade Houston tries to direct his defense. Davis just fired it against the glass.
He anticipated the block. It didn't take place. He adjusted his shot. You can't do that. You have to shoot to make the basket. If it gets blocked, so what? You get it back.
We played just over a minute and a half of the second frame from Knoxville. Florida's outscored Tennessee 2-0 in this half. There you see the clock ticking down with this slow-paced Florida game. Grimsley, a floating shot that's no good. Lockhart had it knocked away, recovered, and here comes Tennessee.
Which is really interesting because when they kick the ball out of there, they look like they had numbers. They need to look up.
And Houston lost it to Jackson, so Florida gets it right back. Tennessee hasn't gotten a shot yet in the half, have they?
No, they're really struggling. Florida's controlling tempo and has come up with some loose balls and forced a couple of turnovers. Wade Houston wants a timeout. He's just not happy the way they've come out and responded to start the second half.
Well, the Tennessee Volunteers lulled a little bit to sleep by this Florida attack. A low-scoring game, and right now, Florida is right in it.
Who's got the marketing plan?
I do.
Sales forecast.
Right here.
Presentation boards?
Murphy's got them.
Where's Murphy?
The final boarding call for Delta Flight 6.
Maddie Klein knows careers are rising on Delta flights.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes. We better go.
Nobody told me you had a cash.
Nobody knows.
Passengers should now be on board.
Maybe that's why more business people fly Delta than ever before.
Mr. Murphy, you have a nice trip.
Thanks. Already had one.
You find it in promises, and you find it in plans, in the midst of laughter, and in silences shared. When the deal is sealed, and when the dance is done, it's there. And for 80 million responsible Americans, it's simply a good part of the good life. It's beer. A message from Budweiser.
It's the right color. It's the world's greatest basketball machine, the Cardinal Wagon. And you could win it from Golden Flake, 84 WHAS radio, Cook and Reeves Superior Bands, and WAVE-3 television. So go any place Golden Flake snacks are sold, or Cook and Reeves Superior Bands, and fill out your entry form. Listen to 84 WHAS and watch WAVE-3 for details. Then one of you will win this fully customized van, and you can see it at the following locations.
This half of SEC basketball is brought to you in